It's the 21st century, and it's time for you to break free from the old ideas, the old beliefs, the old shackles that have been holding you back and keeping you bound in misery and failure. It's time to learn the truth about your power and about what's really going on in the world. Everything that you see and experience is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. Nothing more, but nothing less. Learn the truth. Change your life. Change the planet. Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Reality Changer Radio. I am your host Dave Dickey, and for the next 30 to 40 minutes I will be explaining some true success stories using manifesting techniques and the law of attraction. It is Tuesday at 6 p.m. and let me ask you this. Have you ever had success more than twice using the law of attraction or any of the manifesting techniques? If the answer is yes, then I want to caution you on trying to create more stuff. Because if you've had more than two successes, however small they are, then you're not trying anymore. You're actually doing it. And you need to start planning for it. You need to change your mindset from a, well, let's see if this works, to logging and recording what you have done that works. You see, because these techniques are like cake recipes. Once you do something and that works for that, then okay, stamp it, wash, rinse, repeat. Okay? There's no reason to reinvent the wheel every time. All right. Now, with that said, a lot of people have asked me, yeah, well, these are a lot of techniques and it's going to be difficult for me, and do you know anybody that's done it, and blah, 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 blah. So I think what's best for tonight is that I share with you a lot of the stuff that I've had success with, and some other people that I know that have had success with the techniques that I teach. And all of the stories that you're going to hear tonight, these techniques used to manifest these results, are all going to be taught in detail on April 19th at the Learning Light Foundation in Anaheim, California. I'm going to be holding a 6-hour manifesting intensive, and it is planned to rock your socks off. We're going to go into detail about all the aspects of manifesting and the law of attraction, the ins and outs, why it works, why it doesn't, what you do when it doesn't, everything. We're actually going to be doing stuff at the workshop that you can walk away going, wow, that was incredible. So, where do I begin? Let's start a few years ago, when I was still in Pennsylvania. I've been back in LA now for a little over 4 years. Love it here, just outside of LA. There's nothing like Southern California living. And I was back in PA, and a couple of memorable things happened. I started getting into the Abraham Hicks material, mainly because it was another extension of all of these lessons. And I have to tell you that it just skyrocketed my manifesting. And it has put me on another path to where I can experiment and create my own techniques as an offshoot using their basic principles. And it works fantastic. And you can too. So there was a place that I was living where the gas station, I had to drive this long, long road to get out of the community. And there was a intersection, and there was a gas station across the street. Three of the pumps, there was only 3 pumps, but the 3 pumps were almost always busy. So what I would do is, as I'm driving down this road, I would visualize the closest pump to where I have to turn. Not the one I would see, but it was a weird way that you had to turn in and out of there to get on the road where I had to go to work. So I would visualize that pump as being empty, with nobody there, and with the other 2 pumps being full. And I would just hold that vision. It was probably about a minute and a half drive. So I would just hold that vision. And I have to tell you that 9 times out of 10, that pump was empty. But of course, one of the things that I did, as I teach everybody, is that I had that vision in 3D. I'd been there before. I knew what it looked like. I was able to visualize that in my mind. And as I tell everybody, the stronger you can make your visualizations, the better things are going to be. Things are going to work quicker, and they're going to be easier to manifest. Okay? So let your imagination free and get out of that old school dogma. So that was one thing, and I used to play with this, like, okay, well, I'm not going to visualize it today. Is it going to be full or empty? And so, you start playing with stuff like that, and I found that the odds were with me. If I really tried to make that pump empty, it would stay empty 99% of the time. So I thought, okay, this is cool. This is way cool. This works with all the other stuff that I'm doing. So then another thing that I did was, and you can do this too, you can do this right away. Is you're driving down the road and think of a color of a car that you want to see. Kind of glance around and see a car that, is not there. Like, let's say, for instance, you don't see a green car, okay? So fine, use that as your experiment. And whether it's light green or dark green or lime green or whatever, that's not important. What's important is that you focus on desiring to see a green car, okay? Or desiring to see an El Dorado. Be specific in your desire as you're driving along, and be mindful for it, because this actually works, and this is kind of freaky. You can have fun with this on the way to work or when you're driving around somewhere. Just notice what's not on the road, and then desire for it to be in your experience. And you'll trip out. It's pretty cool, and you'll have a lot of fun with it. I did it several times, and it was kind of like, wow, that's weird. That's the first impression you get is, okay, that was weird. And you want to tell people, hey, check this out. And people go, oh, you're crazy. Unless they know you, and then they go, oh, you're crazy. But seriously, you'll have a lot of fun with it. Try it out. So here's another success story using a lot of the techniques that I taught and I still teach. And one of the main ones is controlling a conversation you haven't had yet and overlapping a time overlay onto your visualization. Almost like you're looking at a scene, let's say in Photoshop, and you're going to use a transparency over it with some time on it, like 7 p.m. or whatever, and it's kind of transparent. It's just kind of floating over your whole image. That's what I'm talking about when I say, when you're visualizing a conversation that hasn't happened yet, overlay a time transparency onto it. Okay? You'll be amazed at the extra benefit you get if you know the day and time, or the day or time that the conversation is supposed to take place. The story is this. While I ran my martial arts school, I didn't start out in a building. I started out in my backyard because we had a 1/4 acre of land, so it was real easy to have students back there. But as time went on and things got more serious, more and more I looked for buildings and looked for rentals and that kind of thing. And we found them. And we found them exactly the way we wanted to find them. But then towards the end, I wanted to secure a building that was just awesome. And I wanted it close to home. And so I put it out there. I put my desire out there. I did the visualization. I did the whole releasing and letting go, just like I teach everybody, just like I'll be teaching all of you at the intensive in April. And at one point, I was looking through Craigslist, because this is what I do, and I noticed that the martial arts school downtown, which was only like a 3-minute drive from me, versus the 20-minute drive I was doing now at the building we were at, they were looking for people to rent space. Now, I didn't know what size building this was. I had driven by the place a couple of times, and it didn't look too big. But I thought, you know what, why not check it out, right? So I drove down there first when I knew it was closed, and I looked through the windows. And I noticed that on either side of the floor, it was down on the first floor, but those buildings are big, giant, 1920 style, 4-story buildings down there, right? Old style, suburb of Philly, right? So I look inside the window, and it looks pretty good size, and it's got all kinds of stuff. Then I notice on each side of the floor there's a set of stairs going up with no doors. And I thought, wow, I wonder if this is like 2 stories, right? Okay, cool. So I call the guy and I say, yeah, I've got this martial arts school. We have a building, but we're looking to move out of there and all this. And he says, yeah, well, why don't you come on down and we'll talk about it tonight. So I start doing my advanced conversation visualization. And I start getting into spirit, where I put love out there and a communion between the two of us. Okay? I want this solid connection, because if this is going to be a great thing, I want it to happen right now. So the time comes for me to drive down there, and all the while I'm driving down there, I'm visualizing us talking. Now, I haven't seen the guy before, mind you, but I'm visualizing us talking and him smiling and me smiling, this future conversation that hasn't happened yet. I'm setting this up as I teach everybody how to do. And I'm seeing him say yes, 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 and I'm creating a sense of well-being and happiness in my spirit. This is very important, because you need to have that vibration going into it. So I get down there and I meet him in the parking lot. He comes outside and he says, would you like to take a look at the inside? And I said, yeah, great. So we go inside, and it's really nice size. And then he says, I'm doing some work in the basement, so let's go take a look there. And the basement was almost the same size as the first floor. And, in my martial arts school, I had already started teaching hand-to-hand combat and some basic boxing skills. And so he says, yeah, I'm setting up a boxing training gym down here. And I was like, wow, this is cool, So then we go back to the first floor, and he says, let me show you the second floor. I went, okay. So then we go up to the second floor, and it's huge. It's all laid out in offices and open floor space. And the offices are huge. And he goes, I don't know what I'm going to do up here. He says, I think I'm thinking of doing wrestling up here. And of course, you know, in my school, we did medieval style wrestling and also catch wrestling. So I thought, wow, this is getting better. So then we go outside to talk. And we were outside probably an hour and a half. And come to find out, he was a machinist. I was a machinist before. So we started bonding. He starts talking about his job and everything. And I start explaining to him what I have and what I want. And things just snowballed. By the end of the conversation, what happened was, not only did I get the use of the 3 different levels, right? The boxing in the basement, the main studio on the first floor, and then the wrestling on the 3rd floor. He promised that he would make a secure locker with locks, just build one, down in the basement for all of my weapons. Not only that, but he insisted that I take one of the offices on the 2nd floor with no extra charge because he wanted it filled. Okay? So I didn't really think I needed an office at that point. I'm glad I took it, though, later on, you know. But he insisted I take it. Now, this office was huge. It was like 13 by 13. You know, it was a good size office with big glass windows and everything. You know, we could put the posters of the tournaments and all that up there and everything. I got all of this for $100 a month less than I was paying at the other place. Are you ready for that? I had to sign a 1-year lease, no big deal. I had to give him a security deposit that he never cashed, and I got that back, no big deal. And the feeling and the communion and the bonding that happened was off the hook. It was off the hook. It was more than I had hoped for, and yet looking back on it, it was exactly what I created. It got so far to the point where he would ask me if they were bothering us. You know, he had his own martial arts school and he had his own classes, and he wanted to make sure that he didn't interrupt us. Are you ready for that? That he didn't interrupt us. And so it's been, what's it been? Almost 10 years now? Yeah. Let's see. Maybe 7. And my partner that took over after I left in 2008 is still running classes out of there. The guy's still an awesome person. He still loves everybody in the school. This is the kind of thing that I cannot emphasize enough that you can do. That anybody can do. You need to believe in yourself, believe in the process, and understand what it takes to get there. And I'm telling you this stuff, if you're listening to me for the first time, you'll want to go back and listen to some of the older broadcasts or get on my blog, because trust me when I tell you this stuff works. This stuff works, this stuff works, this stuff works. Okay? Another fantastic story is that when I was leaving Pennsylvania this last time, back in 2010, we had some major storms. For a few years before that, it was nothing. You'd get like a foot or two, and then it would melt off in the next couple of weeks, and then you get another foot, and that would melt off. So really nothing to speak of. Enough to slow down on the road, but not really anything. But that winter of 2009, 2010, we saw probably 5 feet of snow. And it kept snowing, it kept snowing, it kept snowing. To the point where my wife was uneasy about the truck being able to come in to where we lived in the apartment building, to be able to load up the truck to actually leave when we were scheduled to leave. And you have to understand, we had everything set up here in California to receive the truck, to store the truck. I mean, we had all the timing down. And, here's Mother Nature going, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. But here's where the power of your spirit and the power of your connection to the universe comes into play. Now, I have mentioned to people in the past that I've been able to make it stop raining. And that was surely by a experiment one day. And I've been successful every time that I've done it. And it's been like 7 or 8 times. So with that experience behind me, I thought, well, let's not have it snow when the truck's going to be here. So what I started doing was I started visualizing the whole scenario. I planned out where the truck would need to be in order for us to move our stuff from our apartment to the truck. I planned where the truck needed to pull in and park and everything else. And so now I know where that is. So then what I started doing is I just started going over that day that the truck was coming in my mind and visualizing no snow that day, where they had plowed the day before and the parking lot was fine, and the 2 spots that we were supposed to see, I was supposed to get home early, and then my wife was supposed to get home, and our plan was to occupy these 2 parking spots, which would be more than wide enough for the truck. These are big parking spots, okay? So then we thought, okay, we'll get those 2 spots, and it's in a line, so the truck will just be able to pull right in there and park, no big deal. So it's 2 weeks before the event, and it's starting to snow again. And they're reporting a ton of snow up until the day, right? So I keep a clean head. I don't worry about it. I just trust in the process, and every day I take about 15 minutes and I'd manifest that particular day with the truck coming in and seeing no snow, seeing our cars parked in those 2 spots, and bam, okay? So the day before, the report was it was going to snow another 2 feet. And I said, no, it's not. It's not going to do that. It's just not going to do that. So that night, it snowed about 4 inches. Okay? And it was light snow. And if anybody out there listening to that knows what I mean, the difference between light snow and soft snow, the light snow is it's like powder. Okay? So I didn't care. So here we are the day that the truck is supposed to show up. And then, my wife was concerned about the parking spots. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about the parking spots. They're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And so when I was driving to work that morning, I visualized those parking spots being empty when I came home. While I was at work, I separated my manifesting and only concentrated on the truck parking in that spot. So here I go home, and what do I see? I see those 2 parking spots empty. Not only that, but as I'm driving home, I'm getting giddy as a schoolgirl because there's not 2 feet of snow on the ground. Now, 2 feet of snow on the ground with that semi, that would have ruined the whole deal because they weren't going to be able to plow right away. So I'm already happy on the way home. And I get to the parking lot, and those 2 spots are empty. Now, my wife is like 15 minutes behind me, and I get to those 2 spots, and I pull my van up to where I'm kitty corner in those 2 spots, so nobody can park there other than me. So she calls me on my cell phone, and she says, "How's it look?" And I said, "Well, it looks just fine with my van in these spots. I'm waiting for you to come in and take a spot." And she says, "Really?" And I said, yes, come. So she shows up, and she takes up the spots, okay? So we're waiting. You know, it's going to be like another half hour or so before the truck gets there. So the truck gets there, and we move our cars, and he pulls in just like I planned it, just like I visualized it. He's pulling his truck into those spots. Now here comes the icing on the cake. You're going to love this. Where I was going to have him park, was probably, I don't know, 100 feet from the door. As he's pulling in, the manager comes out and comes over to us and says, "You know what? If you want to, he can pull right up to the door, and I'll just tell all these other people who park here to park somewhere else until you're done." How about that? So I almost crap myself. So now, instead of having to walk 100 feet, we have to walk 10 feet from the door. What a hardship. So now, not only did it not snow 2 feet, not only did those parking spots become empty, not only did the truck arrive on time, but I was able to not only have the truck parked where he was supposed to, but pulled up 10 feet from the door. Okay? 10 feet from the door. Folks, I'm telling you that when you trust in the process and you do your homework and you get out of your own way, this stuff is phenomenal. Totally phenomenal. Okay? And like I said, all of this stuff I'm going to be teaching everybody. Look, I teach this stuff in my workshops, but this 6-hour intensive, you're going to learn the whole shebang. Okay? You're going to learn everything from muscle testing to test your belief systems, to visualizing, to meditations, daily happiness manifestation, the whole 9 yards. Okay? Now, another great one that happened recently, there's 2 great ones that happened recently, is my townhouse that I have. My townhouse, using the techniques, I got in a week and a half. And all I did, I say all I did, on the physical plane, all I did was to create a vision board that was specifically dedicated to the townhouse itself. Not like you see a lot of people, you know, they'll put 80 million things on a vision board. And it was only a digital vision board. It only sat on my desktop. And I didn't even use it as a screensaver. But when I built it, I had put myself into a vibration while I was building it of positive reinforcement and true belief that because of all my past experiences, this too will become real. Okay? So then, what I did was I started looking on Craigslist. I love Craigslist. Can you tell? And just like when I got my computers, just like when I'm getting anything on Craigslist or shopping for anything, I never take the mindset of, well, it's not there, so this isn't working. That's the wrong approach, folks. If it's not there when you're looking, it means that you're not ready for it yet. What I mean by that is you have to open up your awareness, because once you've manifested it, and that's usually in the first 10 minutes of serious manifesting, once you've manifested it, it exists in like a cosmic warehouse just waiting for you. It's there. You see, the hard part that we don't understand and that you get used to after a while is that the hardest part is opening up your awareness to allow it in. The law of allowing. Okay? So I look on Craigslist and I don't see it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. It'll come. It'll come when I'm ready. Okay? So a few days go by, and you know, there's some bites, but it's not exactly what I want, so we say no. And so then we see this townhouse available, and it's in a part of town where I wouldn't think that you'd get that in that part of town. So I told my wife, I said, well, let's drive the neighborhood and see what it looks like, and then we'll go check it out. So we drive the neighborhood, and kids are out playing basketball, and you know, we drive through there at night because that's what you have to do, and there's no large parties, and you know, there's no, you know, gangbangers shooting it up and all this other stuff, right? So I said, you know what, let's go check it out. So we go there, and this townhouse, and I'm sitting in the townhouse right now recording this, is huge. And it's everything I wanted except for two things. It doesn't have a pool, and it doesn't have a cat. And you know what? I'll survive. Next time I'll get a pool and a cat. But it's got my secure parking, fireplace, vaulted ceilings, twice as big as the other place I was living in, large bedrooms. I mean, you know, I made one an office, and it's like 15 by 14. I mean, come on. This is huge, right? So it has everything I wanted. The manager was so awesome, so friendly, super nice guy. He kept saying how much he wanted us to be able to get this because he had a feeling. Anyone taking notes here? The manager had a feeling about us, okay? And so it got to the point where it was like, you know what, this is it. This is it, right? So 3 days go by, we get approved. Okay? So from the time that I did the vision board to the time that we finally signed the paperwork and got approved, right, is a week and a half. Now, it was 4 or 5 days before I saw the thing on the internet, okay, after I did the vision board. And I always like to backtrack to see what my progress was like, and I recommend everybody does that also. Once you actually manifest something, backtrack and check the timing on it, okay? And do it for fun. Don't try to be serious or lay down the law as a plan or anything. Just do it for fun, just for your own edification. So what I found out was that while I was not seeing it on the internet, they were cleaning it. And they didn't want to put it up as available until it was clean. Okay? The day, this is what's weird, and you're going to love this, and I hope you're taking notes. The day that we thought about getting the townhouse, about actually doing it, was about 2 or 3 days before I actually did the vision board, right? So when I'm backdating all this, I find out that the day after we decided that we're going to do this, the lady that lived here got evicted. Now, I'm not saying that we caused that eviction. What I'm trying to explain here is that there is a connection between all of us. And, if she hadn't done her thing and created her reality, she'd still be here, maybe, and we'd be somewhere else. Or we may even still be here. Come to find out, it was the only unit available because someone else had just gotten the place across the way. And what we got was the best townhouse. I could see fireworks for hours from my balcony. Oh yes, it has a balcony. Oh, it has an awesome balcony. Palm trees. You could see the ocean from far off. It is awesome. Okay? It is the best. So, that timeline just turns out to be another validation point for trusting in the process, understanding that it may not be here right now, but that does not mean it's not working. It's working. It works 24/7, whether you try to control it or not. So never let yourself slip into a mode where this is all crap, or it's not working, or I can't do it, or it's for somebody else. No, not at all. Because, you see, it's working and it's going on 24/7 in each one of our lives, like it or not. Your option, your free will, is to control it or not. You don't have to control it, but man, let me tell you, when you start taking control of your life and you start understanding exactly what's going on in the world and how you don't have to be sick, you don't have to be poor, you don't have to be somebody's slave, you don't have to take crap from anybody, you don't have to, but you can, because now you really have a choice. We're taught so often that you don't have a choice. Well, that's just the way life is, kid. Well, no, it's not. You have a choice. And once you make that decision to control your environment and control your destiny, it is so uplifting and so heartwarming. It's incredible. You get so happy because time after time after time after time, you prove to yourself that it works. And then on those moments where you're alone and you're sitting there, you start to think, what can't I do? What can't I do? If everything is under my control, if I decide to, what can't I do? What can't I have? You see? And then once you start realizing that it's all been a myth about what's important, it's all been a story that wasn't real, then you find an incredible change happening. You start to change internally about what you care about. And things that you desired to do a long time ago, or maybe even 6 months ago, they don't seem quite as important anymore. Because you've made this switch, you've made this connection with your spirit and the universe, and you now understand that none of it really exists as you were taught it does. It's not just sitting there waiting for you to react to it. No, it's the other way around. You're sitting there waiting to create it. Big difference. Okay? So now I could go on for hours, but I won't. I wanted to hit some highlights, some personal highlights of what's going on and success with these principles and techniques that I teach you guys, so that you can understand a little bit more about what your successes can be and how easy it can be over time. And never get the concept in your head that it's never going to fail, okay? Because I would never tell you that. As much as I can tell you that you can do whatever you want, there's going to be times when something gets in the way. And you just have to trust the process. Because the more that you have success and the more that you understand what the process is, the more you'll be able to analyze what's going wrong when it does go wrong. And the quicker you'll be able to rebound and say, hey, okay, I got that. All right, let's do this differently. Okay? So, I'm going to wrap it up now, but I want all you guys out there to go to my website, whatyouthinkiswhatyougget.com, right? On the right-hand side, you'll see a little blue advertisement about the upcoming workshop. Click on there, and look, you're not going to pay anything right now. Click on there and get your reminder ticket. That's right, it's a reminder ticket, because payment has to be made right through the Learning Light. So the phone number is on there, and I'm going to give it to you right now. It's area code 714-533-2311. 714-533-2311. It's the Learning Light Center in Anaheim, 1212 East Lincoln Avenue, Anaheim, California. Call them and tell them that you want to pre-register for the April 19th 6-hour manifesting event. Okay, and you're going to save $20 when you do that. Okay, $20 well spent, because you're going to go out, and after you do what you do in this 6-hour intensive, you're going to go out and you're going to buy yourself a $20 bottle of wine and sit there and go, I cannot even believe we just did that. Okay, because I'm going to blow your mind. I'm definitely going to blow your mind. All right, so April 19th, the Learning Light Center. Again, that number is 714-533-2311. Okay? Did I mention, before I leave, did I mention that at this event, we're going to be holding a raffle? Yes, indeed. Giving away over $400 worth of goods and services. And these are free hypnosises, free classes, free this, free that, free everything. Okay? So, get your grab bags ready. Come and get in on the raffle. Get your free prizes. Get your techniques. Seriously, it's going to be off the hook. It's going to be off the hook. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Bring notebooks. Bring water. Bring lots of water. We got 6 hours. And we'll be taking a break every 90 minutes because of so much water. All right? So, do that. I'll see you there, and have a great life, a great week. I love you all. Good night.